understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt. Self-made hustler, I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kills. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell. And every So get it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt. Self-made hustler, I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kills. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell.
Always I heard, you're innocent until proven guilty. I've heard this for so long, and it's such a beautiful phrase. In this case, you're guilty until proven innocent. I think that is a very, very dangerous standard for our country.
January 9th, 2019, after watching a television show, State's Attorney Kim Foxx held a press conference to solicit the public for victims and evidence to see if there was a crime that had occurred based off of her watching a TV show, Surviving R. Kelly.
The recent allegations against entertainer R. Kelly and the recent Lifetime docuseries are deeply, deeply disturbing. It is our job here at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to investigate claims in the interest of justice and of public safety. I'm here today to encourage victims of sexual assault or domestic violence related to these allegations to please get in touch with our office. Please come forward. There is nothing that can be done to investigate these allegations without the cooperation of both victims and witnesses. We cannot seek justice without you.
There were no victims, there were no crimes, there were no open cases that Robert Kelly was being investigated for. There was nothing pending legally, no complaints filed. The DA has access to police reports all around the country, and with a computer search, Kim Foxx knew she had absolutely nothing to charge R. Kelly with. So she set up a hotline after doing her press conference, and she stated in her casting call, "We cannot do this without you. Any possible victims of domestic violence or sexual assault by R. Kelly, contact the office. There's nothing that can be done to investigate these allegations without cooperation of both victims and witnesses. We cannot seek justice without you. We need victims to tell their stories." That says this is an innocent man in all 50 states. We have absolutely nothing, but we want to find something. Everyone, please call our hotline. Her press conference, January 2019, began an onslaught of fraudulent, fake calls from people wanting fame and money.
Joining us now is Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. Thank you for being here.
Ms. Foxx, we have to ask you, how many calls have you gotten since your press conference yesterday?
In less than 24 hours, we've had numerous phone calls.
And what happens when somebody calls?
So someone calls, tells us, what information they have, whether they're a witness or whether there's something that has happened to them. We then put them in touch with someone from our office, either through victim witness or through our investigations unit.
Right. Now, you have seen the docuseries.
I have.
And what are your initial thoughts?
I watched the series as someone who has lived in Chicago my whole adult life, worked at the State's Attorney's Office during the original trial, so it wasn't that some of the allegations were new related to pre-2008, but watching and listening to the women who said that they were survivors of what happened, it was heartbreaking. It was sickening. Again, these are allegations, and that is why it's important that we recognize that this is not, we don't have an open investigation because of the DocuSeries, but if there were people who have been impacted or affected, we certainly believe that we should know about that and do an investigation if warranted.
There were no victims, there was no evidence, there was no crime. So that means everything that happened before January 9th, 2019 was illegal. In the eyes of the law in all 50 states, R. Kelly and every American is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt in a court of law. Evidence from 1994 says there was a marriage license and an annulment that's sealed, but none of those documents were ever verified or validified. If any of these documents are legal, that has to be proven in front of a judge in a court of law. We also hear there were settlements out of court, signed NDAs. Again, nothing has been verified. Who signed the checks? Who made these agreements? We know that a star of R. Kelly's caliber does not deal with all of his financial matters. In 2008, there was a trial, and he was acquitted. So for all purposes based on American law, Robert Kelly was 100% innocent of everything as of January 2019. The American Bar Association Rules of Ethics 3.6 state, you should not take a case if you're affected in any personal way and not permit personal interests to affect your judgment in any case. Fox stated in front of the press after watching a TV show that she was sickened, repulsed. I too was a victim of molestation, she said. This is a bias, and from that moment on, she proved she could not do her job equitably. She could not be fair. She did not have the mental acuity, and her judgment was compromised. Rule 3.8 for prosecutor statements in public state, refrain from making extrajudicial comments that heighten public condemnation. To publicly say she is sickened, she is repulsed, I too was a victim, says these people are victims. And in order for there to be a victim, there has to be a perpetrator. When you say, I too am a victim, there's a presumption that these people that were on a TV show who she'd never met, no lie detector tests were given, they're victims too, which by default presumes Mr. Kelly's guilt. This absolutely violates his constitutional rights. It prevents him from having a fair trial. It taints public perception, from which a jury pool will be selected. And it taints the jury pool automatically. She then referred to Mr. Kelly in text messages as a pedophile. That is a presumption of guilt. She broke the law. When you say someone is a pedophile who has not been in front of a judge, who has not had his case heard, that is a presumption of guilt, and it violates the law in all 50 states.
Chicago Tribune reports that State's Attorney Kim Foxx sent text messages to her top deputy, Joseph Maggots, calling Smollett a washed-up celeb, but also said that compared to R&B star R. Kelly, Smollett had been overcharged. Quoting here, pedophile with 4 victims, 10 counts. Washed-up celeb who lied to cops, 16, meaning counts. In the messages, Foxx acknowledges having recused herself, but is clearly still involved. Quoting, just because we can charge something doesn't mean we should. Maggots responds, quote, agreed. We can get a hard look at how we charge the cases and get it to something that covers what needs to be covered without being excessive and ultimately pointless.
At the time of these statements and texts, Kim Foxx had zero proof of any crime. She had zero proof that anyone was a victim. Yet publicly, she made Robert Kelly, the artist R. Kelly, appear guilty before ever talking to anyone. This is illegal, this is unconstitutional, and everything that happened prior to that broke the law.
So get it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt, self-made hustler. I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kills. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell.
Breaking news now on celebrity attorney Michael Avenatti. A federal grand jury in Manhattan has just indicted him in 2 alleged schemes, one involving his former client, Stormy Daniels.
So the government, of course, had to put forward the official indictment before the end of the month. When it comes to the Nike extortion case, they're accusing Michael Avenatti of extorting Nike for more than $20 million. That is one case. What is new and unexpected is this other charge, 2 charges, one of fraud and one of aggravated identity theft. That involves, as they call it, victim 1, who turns out to be Stormy Daniels.
Michael Avenatti, creepy porn lawyer, came into prominence representing adult porn star Stormy Daniels in her attempt to extort money from the President of the United States. Stormy attended a golf tournament at Trump's golf course where rich, powerful men would be in attendance, then tried to sell her story to news outlets. Trump sued her, won, and she was ordered to pay almost $300,000 in damages. Disgraced Avenatti failed in his attempt to bring down the President of the United States. He got his ass handed to him in public and had got an ass whooping, so he had to find a new target to salvage his name. R. Kelly became his new obsession. Avenatti appeared in the media making claims that potentially obstructed justice and violated constitutional rights of R. Kelly. He allegedly handed a sex tape of R. Kelly over to CNN to review before securing the evidence and turning it over to the courts.
We are following breaking news about R&B singer R. Kelly. Attorney Michael Avenatti says he has a videotape allegedly showing Kelly engaging in graphic sex with an underage girl. CNN has viewed this tape in question, and CNN's Sarah Seidner is following this for us in Los Angeles. Also here with us is CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson. Sarah, first, what do we know? How did Avenatti get this alleged tape?
It's not something that I know, and it's not something that he is certainly revealing at this point in time.
The United States District Court for the Southern District of New York has charged the lawyer for attempting to extract more than $20 million in payments from a publicly traded company, Nike, by threatening to use his ability to garner publicity to inflict substantial financial and reputational harm on the company if his demands were not met. Avenatti allegedly said that 90% of what is going on to be bullshit, because it's always bullshit. 90% of the time, always, whether it's R. Kelly or Trump, the list goes on and on. But 10% of it is actually going to be true. And then what's going to happen is this is going to snowball. Avenatti admitted only 10% of what he alleged against R. Kelly was true, and 90% was bullshit. He used his ability to garner publicity to inflict substantial financial and reputational harm on R. Kelly strictly to save his ass, facing 36-count indictments and up to 333 years in prison if convicted. He executed a scheme to defraud 5 clients, one of whom was a paraplegic, who he allegedly withheld $4 million settlement from, and 2 additional scams charging him with fraud and aggravated identity theft for his treatment of ex-client Stormy Daniels. Avenatti agreed to work with the feds to bring down R. Kelly to get his charges reduced. His unscrupulous behavior breaks laws and violates constitutional rights of R. Kelly. It taints the potential jury pool and sways public opinion. He has a history of fraudulent behavior. The news media, specifically CNN, assisted Avenatti by describing a tape that had not been verified, had not been seen by R. Kelly's legal team, had not been secured as evidence, essentially tampering with evidence, violating numerous constitutional rights of R. Kelly, and potentially tainting a jury pool, and inciting unlawful behavior from all Americans by painting this man as they described what they interpreted to be on the tape as salacious. They broke the law.
I have not yet seen the videos that the federal government is talking about. I know that there's sworn testimony from the young lady that was involved in the Cook County charges supposedly years ago, sworn testimony that it wasn't her, sworn testimony from her parents that it wasn't her. I don't know that the government would bring a charge based on people who are known to have, I guess they'd be saying they perjured themselves before, but we haven't gotten any of the evidence yet, so we got to look at it. Very convoluted, very complex.
You can start a rumor on a guy like me or a celebrity just like that. All you have to do is push a button on your phone and say, so-and-so did this to me. R. Kelly did this to me. And if you get any traction from that, if you're able to write a book from that, if you're able to get a reality show, then any girl that I had a relationship in the past that it just didn't work out, she can come and say the same exact thing.
Are you blaming this on social media?
I'm talking about the power of social media.
Mainstream media perpetrates this illegal term, victim and survivor, for any female with a story when no crime has even been determined, no evidence, no case before a judge, no mental health evaluation, no lie detector tests, with zero verification. For example, Gayle King stated on air after a female told a story, had no evidence and never had a case before a judge, "We must believe women." Oprah's best friend, of whom financially support Me Too and Time's Up, which means both have vested interests in the groups, tells America to believe women. There's no law that says believe women. The law says you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. It is not your burden to prove your innocence. King asked R. Kelly, "Are all these women lying? Why would all these women lie?" Then proceeded to name each female's name. She placed the burden of proof on R. Kelly and presumed his guilt when she did this.
Name the names: Andrea Kelly, your ex-wife, Kitty Jones, Lisa Van Allen, Lisette Martinez, Geronda Pace, Faith Rogers, Asante McGee. You're saying everything they said in that documentary about you is not true.
They are lying on me.
I have to tell you, it's so hard to believe that based on all that we've read
I'm gonna tell
and
you
what the
something,
women
Gail.
have
There's
said
one
about you.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Said about you.
What women said about me. What women. So nobody's allowed to be mad at me and be scorned and lie on me.
R. Kelly, you do. When I listen to you,
I'm
it
just
does
telling
sound
the
like
truth.
You're playing the victim
I'm
card.
just telling the truth. And the reason I'm emotional,
Robert,
and I apologize for that, is because this is the first time I was able to say
speak.
something. I've said nothing.
Then aired a clip of him responding emotionally to this public persecution and referred to him as unhinged, unstable. They replayed that moment over and over. Gayle King, CBS, violated constitutional rights. They broke the law in all 50 states doing this. They incited unlawful behavior, making him appear guilty. They tainted a potential jury pool. They essentially brainwashed, programmed, and manipulated Americans to ignore the law, to circumvent our judicial system, to violate due process. All while she accused R. Kelly of breaking the law.
I think what you did, Gail, was allow him to tell his story and to see, though, his behavior, his temperament is, I think, what is probably what is most revealing of this interview as well. The pounding of the fist, the getting up. I was worried about you. I was actually worried about you when I saw the pictures.
Well, it's funny. Favorite son, favorite daughter, and Oprah all called me and said, were you afraid? Did you think he was going to hit you? I actually never thought that. I think that I thought I might get accidentally clobbered, but I didn't think that he would deliberately try to hurt me. I never felt in danger talking to him.
So get it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt, self-made hustler. I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kills. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell. What we gonna do? You are Kelly. When we gonna do it? Now.
Last year, 2 women in Atlanta started a campaign called Mute RKELLY, and they've succeeded in driving down ticket sales for his concerts. At least 8 tour dates have been canceled.
We want him either in the poorhouse or the jailhouse.
When did it actually start?
It started in June 2017. So
Okay.
right when the accusations of what the media was calling the sex cults came out, I saw it that day on the news. I was actually sitting in my office on the computer. The TV was on. I heard that and I was like, what's R. Kelly doing? Like, I hadn't heard anything about R. Kelly in a long time.
Right.
So I got on Google and just kind of, started looking and realized that although I hadn't been hearing about it, almost every year, every other year, more people were coming out. More people were filing charges. More people were talking about the abuse and the sexual abuse of the underage girls.
The 2002 allegations resulted in a 2008 trial where Mr. Kelly was acquitted. Decades later, there were rumors of a cult. The investigators went to the home and found nothing, so this was unsubstantiated. As of February 2019, Mr. Kelly in all 50 states was 100% innocent, and Kim Foxx substantiates that when she does her press conference. Mute RKELLY, since 2017, took aggressive and egregious actions to cut R. Kelly's ability to earn money nationally and internationally in their Mute RKELLY campaign. Mute RKELLY stopped concerts, stopped streaming of R. Kelly's music in the United States and around the world, and demanded Sony release him based on gossip, rumor, and a fraudulent TV show with 0 evidence, 0 victims, 0 crimes, that never saw the inside of a courtroom, where 90% of the truth was omitted conveniently to defraud America.
So kind of just a little bit about what we have done and probably why he hasn't done any more tours in the United States. Since Mute RKELLY, he's had 11 concert cancels, 8 active protests around the country, and an estimated $1.7 million in lost revenue. Right. We're not overly concerned about lawsuits because, as you stated, I think the last place he wants to be is inside of an open court.
A financial or economic boycott only applies to crimes that have been committed. You have to be able to prove in a court of law, in front of a judge, with a preponderance of evidence that you did a financial or economic boycott, crimes were committed, and you could substantiate that with evidence beyond reasonable doubt. It is a hoax, it is fraud, slander, defamation, vigilante terrorism to conduct a financial boycott, an economic boycott based on rumor, based on gossip, when the law in this country is crystal clear. You are to be presumed innocent. Mute R. Kelly broke the law unquestionably. The Fourth Amendment right states no court order, no government has the right to unreasonably seizure of property. Stopping R. Kelly's career, his music, his concerts is, in fact, unreasonable seizure of property. Music, songs, concerts, his job at Sony, his intellectual property, are all physical and financial, tangible assets. That's why you copyright it, to protect your property. The Fifth Amendment right states no person shall be deprived of property, not have property taken without due process. Taking music off Spotify, cancel concerts, demanding Sony drop him, deprived R. Kelly of due process. It is the seizure of property. If it's illegal for the United States government to seize property, what legal right did Mute R. Kelly have to stop the concerts and the music of an innocent man in all 50 states in this country? In the United States of America, in all 50 states, you are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt in a court of law. It is not your burden to prove your innocence. It is the burden of an accuser to prove your guilt. Mute R. Kelly broke the law. Mute R. Kelly are criminals. And anyone that hashtag Mute R. Kelly broke the law, they are criminals.
Can you separate the man from the art?
I sure can. I mean, if he need to be punished, punish him. I mean, I ain't gonna say he did it because you ain't innocent until you proven guilty, so.
Sex offenders and pedophiles and rapists to be performing up in here.
Arithmetic. Kim Foxx's plea to the public, January 8, 2019, is irrefutable proof. There were no open cases, there were no crimes, there were no pending litigation, there were no victims. Mute R. Kelly hijacked our judicial process. They violated 6th, 7th, 8th Amendment rights of R. Kelly. They violated his due process rights to a formal procedure to ensure there's actually a real case, real victims, a real crime. They denied an innocent man his 1st, 4th, 5th Amendment rights as an American. Additionally, they violated the rights of all Americans to listen to his music and to attend his concerts and to support R. Kelly. The First Amendment rights do cover music. It is your right to hear all sides of every issue. It is your right to hear any music that you want and attend concerts. It is your right to make your own judgment without governmental interference and without control. You have the right to support anyone that you choose. Mute R. Kelly usurped government's jurisdiction. They violated every American's First Amendment rights to attend concerts, to listen to music, and to support R. Kelly, to have access to R. Kelly. If anyone supported R. Kelly, demanded to listen to his music, demanded to attend concerts, demanded their First Amendment rights as Americans, they were cyberbullied. Accounts were reported. They were called R. Kelly sympathizers, enablers, pedophile sympathizers. They were threatened, harassed. They lost jobs, forced to shut down and block their social media accounts, forced to start new pages because they wanted to be law-abiding citizens and presume R. Kelly innocent.
Y'all that are still R. Kelly fans, okay, cheering him and his sex crimes on, all right? And I honestly think the ones that support him are even worse, okay? And they should be locked up with his ass too. Because if y'all will let his ass get away with raping these little black girls that don't nobody else care about, including y'all will let your own daughters and nieces get raped too. Probably letting them go down right now as we speak. But I'm so glad that he's out of money, and I don't care how many of Michael Jackson's ex-lawyers that he tries to hire but can't afford.
This is textbook terrorism. Because it's on U.S. soil, it is domestic terrorism. And because it took place by feminists, it is domestic feminist terrorism. It violates our First through Eighth Amendment rights of all Americans and R. Kelly to mute an innocent man's music, to stop an innocent man's concerts, to bully, to harass anyone that supported this man without a victim, without a court of law, without a court order, without a judge, without evidence, is illegal in the United States. Mute R. Kelly broke the law. They committed terrorism. They incited unlawful behavior of others when they decided to hashtag Mute R. Kelly and bully people into doing that. They incited illegal behavior when they demanded others join them in their illegal acts. To break the law, to violate constitutional rights, and to deprive Robert Kelly of his due process. With zero evidence, zero judges, zero courts, zero victims, zero crimes, zero due process, Mute R. Kelly took the law into their own hands. Their vigilante, rogue, feminist, domestic terrorism has taken over the United States and overseas. We are in a constitutional crisis.
So get it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt, self-made hustler. I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kales. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell. And ever since I rose up, success has been my sail. So call the hits.
Last week, a feminist called Emily Linden announced on Twitter that she was, quote, not at all concerned about innocent men losing their jobs in the search for perpetrators of sexual harassment. Quote, if some innocent men's reputations have to take a hit in the process of undoing the patriarchy, that is a price I am absolutely willing to pay. Why wouldn't you be horrified by what this woman wrote?
Well, she was defending it, saying that it would be wrong, but microscopic in the sense that what happens to women and women's reputations is so much worse than what would happen to a man's reputation. Women's reputations are destroyed constantly on a daily basis, and
facts
men,
don't. So facts don't really matter. So in other words, she's saying you should respect me when I make the case that facts don't really matter.
Well, maybe she's trying to say let's level the playing field, and men are finally feeling the pain that women have felt for a long time, for centuries.
And that's good.
Well,
2 years ago, a silent coup began to undermine our constitutional republic by overthrowing our judicial system using social media, journalists, and the news media as a propaganda machine to push fraud on the American people. The United States of America is under attack by terrorists. Not foreign terrorists, but domestic terrorists wearing lipstick, skirts, high heels, and carrying purses. Feminist movements and the women's movements of the 60s and 70s have morphed into rogue, cyber, feminist terrorists who commit hate crimes against rich, powerful men for the purpose of tearing down the power structure in this country, to undo the patriarchy, and to revamp it so women control the power. Circumventing our judicial system, ignoring laws, and violating the constitutional rights of every American in this country, they have used women in powerful positions to push a narrative on this country and use social media to bully, terrorize, and control the American people. I have put together this DocuSeries to methodically break down step by step how the Women's March, January 21st, 2017, protesting Donald Trump's presidency, has grown into this rogue domestic terrorism, and how laws are broken, constitutional rights are being ignored, and Americans are bullied and held hostage. Time's Up, Me Too, funded by rich, powerful women, have become domestic feminist terrorists. Their target, rich, powerful men. We will examine the high-profile case of R&B icon R. Kelly to examine step by step how women are the ones breaking the law, usurping our judicial process, violating constitutional laws, and holding every American hostage by these feminist domestic terrorists.
But here's what we know is that people are flawed. And most people tell the truth, but not everybody does. And that's why we have things like due process and a justice system that tries to determine objectively who is guilty and who is innocent and punishes only the first category. And she's suggesting, and a lot of other people like you are suggesting, just throw that out because everybody who makes an accusation is telling the truth when we know that's not true. Well, like, I don't want to live in the world you're describing. Do you really want to?
No, like I said, I mean, social injustice, and I don't believe in that, but I'm saying let's live in a world with everyone's reputations at stake, not just women. Not just women are called names, not just women's reputations are at stake. There aren't just witch hunts. Let's have the wizard hunts. Let's have everyone burned at the stake, if anyone's going to burn at the stake.
So get it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt, self-made hustler. I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kills.
Every billionaire, multimillionaire, athlete, entertainer, media tycoon, music mogul, CEO, politician, the 1%, and royalty around the globe activate, get involved, help with this R. Kelly case. Why? Hate crimes against the rich and powerful are on the rise. A silent coup to overthrow patriarchy is happening as we speak. Your life's work, your legacy, your empire, your bag is on the line. If you let R. Kelly go down without a fight, you will be next. To stop them, you must make sure they are not successful taking down R. Kelly unlawfully. This will energize them, make them more powerful than ever before. Time's Up, Me Too, Mute R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly, Women of Color, and those that assisted them didn't form just to disband with R. Kelly. Me Too is already on HBCU college campuses, programming females into victimhood. With the largest female Congress in history, they are changing laws state by state to remove the statute of limitations on sex crimes. We need a checks and balances and addendums to these laws to make sure they are fair for men and women alike. In the federal court system, sex crimes are treated the same as murder, so there's no bond. You must remain in jail even if you're innocent of all crimes, just because you were accused. Any male having sex for the rest of his life is at risk. Anyone who has not been happily monogamous his entire sexual life can have their life destroyed by false allegations, including the LGBT community. They're killing you softly. This is a bloodless cut, internal hemorrhaging, and you don't even know you've been hit. These organizations collect millions in donations from rich, powerful women and from donations from females all around the world. You don't stop a successful operation. You find your next target. This lipstick rogue, radical feminist terrorism, they're coming for every successful man who has not been faithful to one woman. Your brother, your sons, fathers, uncles, friends, you are at risk. Every person who believes in our laws and constitutional rights as Americans must help, must engage, must get involved. Share my trailers for my DocuSeries with everyone that you know. Make it go viral, especially to radio, TV, newspapers, via social media. The millionaires, the billionaires, the entertainment industry, athletes, musicians, moguls, the media, etc., who I've been DMing, and you're watching all of my videos, I appreciate you, and I need you to share this video and the other videos about the DocuSeries with every wealthy person you know, every contact you have, every billionaire, every millionaire, every athlete, every musician, every entertainment mogul, everyone in media. R. Kelly is talking to Tom Mesereau and wants to hire him on his team. He needs a bag. His legal team needs a bag. There are 2,208 billionaires and 36 million millionaires. Surely R. Kelly legal fees can be secured below radar. No one has to know who pays. Just contact Tom Mesereau directly and see what he needs. Contact R. Kelly's legal team directly, see what they need. R. Kelly's intellectual property is invaluable, so you can easily recoup your investment. But you're investing in yourself, because if they're successful destroying him and his legacy and his empire, they will destroy yours next. They've cut off his finances beginning 2 years ago so that he did not have the ability to fight, so that he could not protect himself legally. I need every wealthy man in this country and around the world to lock arms, to cover this man, to put a financial hedge of protection around Robert Kelly so that he has all the resources he needs to fight this. Contact me directly via email or DM. My information is in the description of this video, and it's also at the end of this video. There's work we need to do. There's actionable items we need to put in place going forward. This docuseries must be aired all over mainstream media. It must reach the masses. I need media tycoons, Rupert Murdoch, Ted Turner, and every other media mogul to get in touch with me and make that happen. I need wealthy movers and shakers like Robert Kraft, Stephen M. Ross, Jimmy Iovine, Larry Ellison, Bob Johnson, Robert F. Smith, and others to get in touch with me, and let's get some actionable items going. Rich, powerful men are targets, and we must put solutions in place immediately. Every person that can reach Donald Trump or knows someone who can reach him, if you got his number in your cell phone or someone in his family, get in touch with them, get these videos to him, get the trailers that I've put out earlier to him. He must be aware of this issue. We need the President of the United States to act stat. He needs to engage the FBI, Homeland Security, the IRS, and you put the full weight of the White House behind these acts of terrorism against rich, powerful men and against all men in this country.
So get it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt, self-made hustler. I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kills. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell.
I asked Kubrat for a post-fight interview. He said yes. I conducted the interview in a backstage area inside his tent. I started the interview. Mid-interview, he grabbed my face and kissed me. I was immediately shocked and embarrassed and didn't know how to respond.
So if Tyson Fury gets through Tom Schwartz, do you think you should have a shot?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It made me feel uncomfortable and frustrated that Kubrat Pulev would treat me in such an unprofessional manner.
Wait, fuck, there's no video, right?
Later that night, a friend invited me to an after party. There was an opportunity to interview more fighters, and therefore I decided to go. Mr. Pulev did not join until the very end of the night. He acted like nothing happened, but later at the party, he asked me to remove the kiss from the interview. Groupies, gold diggers, social climbers, opportunists have been around as long as rich, powerful men. We know the difference between a victim and a gold digger, a survivor or a groupie. Your behavior will tell us who you are, not your words. If you have cancer, you go to a doctor, therapist, treatment center, specialist who can help you solve the problem. You don't go to hair, makeup, wardrobe on a TV series, do talk shows, radio, reality TV, and write books. You don't seek fame over solutions. Real victims of sexual abuse generally shun the spotlight as they seek real solutions. They go to doctors, therapists, police, judges, courts. They have litigation pending. They have evidence. Groupies are synonymous with music. Sex, drugs, rock and roll is the moniker for the music industry. Gold diggers, social climbers, opportunists hunt rich, powerful men to have sex, to get pregnant, to have an ATM baby, which means they get a check, to audition to be the mistress, to get their bills paid, or to just be a fuck buddy and have sex for status, to be able to say they had sex with a rich, famous, powerful man. They don't want to work a job or get an education to take care of themselves. Their 9 to 5 is finding a wealthy man to take care of them.
Hold on to your wallets.
That's sexy.
Here comes Britain's most shameless gold diggers.
I'm a professional gold digger. Money makes me happy.
Will you pay for all this? Because obviously I don't carry cash.
Experts in the art of rinsing men for cash.
I'm not going to pick up the bill, am I?
Tonight,
Is there someone there who's worth me coming?
a professional sugar baby hunts down the rich and famous.
Rich men love pretty girls.
We meet a self-styled gold digger
Get paid now.
who hit the jackpot when she nabbed a millionaire.
And he's got a large penis, which helps.
And like bees to honey, the ladies who swarm around one rich man
That one's done it for me.
who's loving every minute.
Dating 4 or 5 women at all times.
It was money that attracted me to Mark, and that's the God's honest truth.
Recently separated after 22 years of marriage, Mark's back to playing the field. And when you're as loaded as he is, you can get the youngest, hottest babes in town.
I like to have a pretty thing on my arm, purely because it makes me feel great.
Mark might be lapping up the young lovelies, but the ladies on his arm have their own agenda. As close friend Towie's Abby Clark is all too aware.
Type of women that are attracted to Mark as a protective friend, I would say, are gold diggers.
But Mark couldn't care less.
I have lots of girlfriends. I enjoy the company of women. People might think I'm a Lothario or a player.
Mark is the ladies' man. Every single one of my friends that have ever come round and met him, he has tried it on with them.
I'm dating a few women at all times. Let's say 4 or 5.
Part of the interviewing process is sex. They will engage in orgies, group sex, menage a trois, as they climb the social ladder from poverty to wealth, similar to when men try out for a sports team. You do whatever is asked of you to be on the team. Women get butt implants, breast work, Botox, invest in sexy clothes and lingerie to manipulate, brainwash, control men sexually. This has gone on since the beginning of time. When females hunt rich, powerful men, engage in volitional sex, participate in their own mistreatment because they don't want to get a job, they are complicit. They are not victims, they are volunteers. Sorting through intentions is almost impossible because a female will never tell a wealthy man, "I'm here for the bag."
My name is Bill, and I own one of the largest privately owned real estate companies in America.
What would you say your net worth is?
I'm not going to say my net worth.
My name is Brianna. Bill and I met when I was working as a hostess. I wasn't looking for love, but I could tell he was interested.
Tonight, Bree and I are having dinner with some of my friends and partners. This group of friends of mine, they definitely speak their mind.
Yes, they do. Bree, how old are you? So I am 21. Oh,
To me, age is just a number,
that's a huge age gap.
but our love is big.
Bigger.
Bigger than our age gap.
Maybe Bree is with Bill for his prominence and his money. Maybe she's a social climber.
She will present herself as naive, innocent, seeking love when what she really wants is a check. There are parties where rich, wealthy men attend, and the ratio of women to men is 50 to 1. Young, attractive females in thongs and high heels with hair weaves, breast implants, looking more like strippers and porn stars. There to feast on the free food, the alcohol flowing, and the drugs, all looking to get on scholarship, a term used for being taken care of by a sugar daddy or a rich man. At 11 p.m., it's announced, if you're not fucking or sucking, you gotta go. And almost no one leaves
because they came for the chance to meet a rich, powerful man, and they're willing to participate in any sexual activities to achieve their goal. When these females play the game, then decide years later they will play the victim card, society loses. Real victims are ignored while everyone focuses on these fraudulent groupies posing as survivors. Females want to have sex with rich, powerful men. They want to participate in sex acts because they don't want to work for their own money. You don't see successful, educated women who worked for their own shit going on TV, reality shows, writing books on who they had sex with, and profiting from being a victim. Real victims don't seek fame and money, they seek justice.